Welcome to Holistic Human Performance Podcast. My name is Gena Bradshaw, where we talk all things holistic health, wellness, spirituality, fitness, meditation, energetics, and so much more to help you become the healthiest version of yourself. Let's dive in. This is not medical advice. This is simply to help you on your journey through health, fitness, and wellness. I hope this helps. You can complement this with anything that you are doing currently in your life. Enjoy. What the holistic human performance community has turned into is something beyond words. I am so grateful for each and every single one of you. And I wanted to talk about what the community is all about. And really, it just started with me going through a really low time in life, where I did not have my health as a 2-time cancer survivor. And I really leaned into holistic health, that lifestyle, changing everything about it, really taking a deep dive into energy medicine and spirituality and combining all of these different aspects of mind, body, and soul together. That helped me heal on a deep level. And now I am following out my soul's mission and purpose and bringing this to you all. And so I want to invite you inside of the holistic human performance community. We have an app, which is the HHP app on Apple and Google Play, which you can also get all of these goodies on the desktop as well. And really what you're going to find inside of this community, I call it the Virtual Wellness Center. It's going to be all about holistic health, spirituality, energetics, all different practices, tools, modalities. So we have things like sound bath meditations, we have breath work, we have tapping series, we have workouts, we have somatic healing, we have masterclass series, we have programs. I have other professionals come on inside of the app to teach. So there's so many cool things you get inside of this community. And so I wanted to give this to you all as a membership. And what you're getting is a monthly membership where you have 300 plus on-demand videos, plus live stream classes and programs and courses. You're literally getting all of these incredible tools to take with you wherever, whenever you need. And so for $33 per month, you get access to this. Or you can do annual, which is $320 for the year. You're getting all of this inside of the Holistic Human Performance Virtual Wellness Center. And not only that, you could try it out for 1 week free and cancel whenever you want. So these are things that are going to help reprogram your subconscious mind, you regulate your nervous system, keep you healthy and navigating life with full life force energy, and really helping you to express yourself authentically while also enhancing your health and your well-being so that you can find and follow your soul's mission and purpose. So I invite you inside of this community. It is so beautiful and juicy. And not to mention, we have a whole section inside of the app where it is a community forum so we can chat with each other and talk about our wins, what we're going through, and so much more. And I don't know if I mentioned, if you are a one-on-one coaching client, you get full access to the entire Virtual Wellness Center membership. So I invite you inside of the HHP community. Again, you can get your week free trial on Apple or Google Play or right on your desktop at holistichumanperformance.co. Welcome to another episode of the Holistic Human Performance Podcast. I'm your host, Gena Bradshaw Vitale, and today we have a very special guest with us. We have Dr. Colleen Quinn. She is a psychologist, mystic, breathwork practitioner, and author. And in her latest book, Essence Merging, it invites readers on a profound, intimate, and raw spiritual odyssey that defies convention and reaches into the soul. Through her deeply personal story of trauma, healing, love, and divine transformation, she explores how devotion to a higher mystical intelligence can unravel lifetimes of pain and reveal the transcendent power of love. From a near death experience, or potentially multiple, to cosmic breathwork journeys, and from the darkest pits of despair to exhilarating rediscovery of joy. This book is a testament to a miraculous potential within each of us to awaken, heal, and merge with the very essence of life itself. Without further ado, Dr. Colleen Quinn, welcome to the podcast.
Gena, what a beautiful introduction. I get inspired, hearing the words that love has spoken through me and this whole journey. It was never my intention to write a book, but I had so many miraculous nature bending, material world bending experiences, and I kept them all in a journal. And I finally said, these are great love gifts. I'm like delighted to be in this love affair, but what's the plan? Like, is this really just for me? And I heard a resounding go inspire. There's so many. I think that I know ancient traditions have predicted this time in our human history of a great collective awakening.
Mm,
It started right at the winter solstice of 2019, which was right when COVID was being born in China. We all had to go inward, in the whole world. That no one escaped that. Some of us really did get in touch with our own souls, and a lot of us did not like being inward with our egos, and it became very distressing and came out in all
mm,
kinds of ways. And that was the first labor pain of this great awakening. Growth only ever happens from an uncomfortable place. And we all got here through the same love squeezes coming through the birth canal. We know that these love squeezes or pains, whatever you want to call them, what you call them, will wrap a different energy around the experience, but they're universal. This is how we grow. And I believe we're in the second labor pain right now. Everyone I know, including myself, is being challenged in greater ways than we ever have been. And yet, the love and protection and the fact that we truly do have everything we need inside of us, that we are limitless beings, that we are fully God, fully unique manifestations of the one, of the incarnate that's in us. And when you have that vibrant relationship with love, you get to tap into all of that, and it just makes life so much sweeter. So I'm happy to share this exhilarating and unnerving journey with others that might want more for their lives.
yes. And there's so many rabbit holes we could go down, but we'll start here. So, um, I know for me too, like 2019 was a huge awakening for myself. And like, I don't do what I did in 2019 as I do now. And like, life has completely taken me on a different route. And it's actually comical because I'm very much like in the metaphysical, spiritual, holistic space. And my background is in fitness and nutrition and health, but it's just funny how if you were to tell me that I was doing what I do today, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, I would literally laugh in your face and be like, okay, whatever you say. But it's funny to be here in the now and go through all of those life experiences to, like you said, just have this great awakening. And it's just like this spark that is like, hey, it's time to do some things here. You've been asleep for a while. It's time to get some things done. Um, but I always like what you're talking about in terms of like life experience. I find that a lot of people will go just like into reading and knowledge, and knowledge is power to a point, but if you don't integrate, then it's like useless. And so I find that every person that I have on this podcast has a life experience, and I know yours. I would like to start here. You mentioned a near death experience, so I would like to start there because it can be very, as you know, inspiring for those who are going through some serious trials and tribulations.
Well, it's so interesting because if we were two girlfriends, there was, just having tea, there was so many things you said that I would have loved to have expanded on because you're spot on. You know, when we devote our lives to this greater unseen plan, it's always far greater than what we could have cooked up on our own. That's number one. And number two, you mentioned you were into health and fitness. The spiritual journey is a full journey to thriving and abundance and wellness and wholeness. It's
Mm-hmm.
ultimately the wholeness. So all those paths lead up the mountain to the same source. Being physically well is a spiritual act. They're one and the same. The
Mm.
physical is just a mirror of the energetic.
I have
So
full body chills. Yes.
yeah. So yeah, I'm happy to talk about my near-death experiences. And love really you never gives up on any of us, continues to knock on our hearts and gives us exactly what we need for our becoming more rarefied love. And so this story really spans my whole life. And it started when I was 27. I was married with two young children, the daughter of a bipolar mother, and I had a brother I still have a brother who at that time was 15. And I was like a second mother to him.
Yeah.
The only person who called me every single day, which is such a beautiful, rare connection. So we talked one day. The next day, he died in a car accident.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's quite a different type of grief because there's no preparation. And he was so young, right? His life was so full. And so it was the hardest thing I had ever gone through. And I always knew myself as a mystical being. Um, Lots of experiences of that prior to that, but my relationship to what this higher power was very immature. It
Mm.
was really a lot of me praying, making my list of demands of how things should go. And in my mind, a bipolar mother was a bi. Like that was enough. There's no way she should ever have a son taken from her and we would all be exempt. So God made a big mistake. And I was so angry with God for 3 years. And I envisioned God as this patriarchal being outside of me. So I have a scratchy throat today.
It's
I'm gonna
okay. Throat chakra is being activated, huh?
yes, yeah, I'm gonna take a mint and hope this alters. But so I'm, I was angry with God for 3 years. You can imagine what the outcome of that was. There
Yeah.
was a lot of hardness on my heart. And after 3 years, I could not take it anymore. I just couldn't take the pain. So I pulled over into a church parking lot late at night one night. And all I could say was, I'm so angry. Can you just take this? I can't talk to you, but can you just take this anger off my heart? It was interesting because my brother always wanted us to have a house for his nephews. And it was like a prodigal son moment. Like for myself and the clients I've worked with, when we get to the very end of our strength, there is no strength left in us. We're totally stripped down. We're totally vulnerable. That is when our heart cracks open for love to come in. And the effects are always profound and immediate. And it was a prodigal son moment. Money fell in our laps. We did buy our first house. My heart thawed and I came back to life a bit. However, I kind of reserve that dead part of my heart to honor my brother, which is so delusional because he was the funniest, most selfless being I've ever known, loved life. And it wasn't until I was like 20 years later, I was hit head on in my lane, broke 17 bones, had
Ugh.
5 surgeries. I was in intensive care for weeks and weeks. In the car while they were trying to get me out, I was in the tunnel with the light.
Whoa.
And when you are inculcated by love, it is beyond words. It's beyond words. I can't explain the peace and the wholeness. It's just beautiful. And love speaks to us not in words, but in thoughts. And so love said, we would like you to go back, but it's your choice.
Mm.
Well, when love asks me to, when any of us, I think we just go, yes, of course, that's the right thing. So I came back, and what was powerful about that for me was I viscerally chose to be here. I had not really chosen to be here. It's our choice. I hadn't really chosen it for so many years. There's a great empowerment in choosing to be here. And the truth is, every day that we wake up, a part of us did choose it. So we should fully choose it. So that was a big part of the lesson. Years later, many years later, after my second near death experience, I was being trained to be a breath worker. And the trainer knew none of this story. But when she heard I was in the car accident, she said, Colleen, you must have surrounded yourself with a great death energy to have drawn that experience to you.
Mm.
Well, Gena, yeah, that's controversial, but it resonated. It totally, and I got chills when I heard it. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, you're right. I did. I like the veil dropped, and I saw that we are the gods of our lives. We totally create all of it. All of the rewards are from the good choices we make. All of the consequences are from the wrong turns we make because we need to learn something different.
Mm.
I drew that to me. It is what I needed. So that was huge. I can talk about my second death experience, near death experience, and that there was many deeper learnings in that, if you like.
So I do have I didn't even mean to go down this kind of route, but I feel like I guess it's meant to be spoken about today. So I have had my own personal near-death experience at a very young age. I was 3.5, but I don't
Mhm.
remember it. So I don't remember actually going through the near-death experience. Now, so I was my background, I was diagnosed with leukemia.
Oh, wow.
I remember, and then later on, to, at age 20, was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. It was a different experience. However, I resonate very much with what you're saying because taking a deep dive into metaphysics, energy medicine, spirituality, just like this higher power, this higher intelligence, God source, whatever you want to call it, and taking a really deep dive into like, okay, I'm healthy. I was an athlete. I eat right, but yet this happened again. And I remember seeing she's actually no longer with us, but this incredible like energy healer and medium, and she was like, the first time you were diagnosed was a lesson for the people around you. The second time was a lesson for you. And
Mhm.
so, I have full body chills saying that. So I resonate very deeply with what you're saying. And I know it is a controversial topic because, people will be like, well, I did this to myself. I couldn't do this to myself. Why would I do that to myself? But I don't think people realize, and this is where I'm sure your psychology and your background comes into play, with like the belief system and like the subconscious programming of like, holding on to the fear, the trauma, the pains, and like unconsciously kind of manifesting that in our lives.
Our subconscious makes up 95% of our brain, of our energy field, and the power of things like conscious breath work, meditation, and even psychedelics, they bring the unconscious conscious. So back to what you said, Gina. It
Jenna,
I
it's okay. The spelling tricks
oh,
people,
sorry,
Jenna.
Jenna. I'm
It's
so
okay.
sorry, Jenna.
I
Eh,
know the spelling gets people.
Back to what you said about your first near-death experience at 3.5. I had a very traumatic womb experience, and
Mm,
twice my mother was hospitalized because of concern for my safety. I almost died in the womb twice, not concern for her safety. Yet, every single experience that we have creates an imprint on our energy field. That's supported in quantum physics.
mm-hmm.
A leaf that is cut in half retains the full imprint, energetic imprint of the full leaf, which makes sense when people talk about phantom limb. They lose that limb, but they can feel it's still there. Every experience is stored in our energy field. And sure, it was for the other people around you, and it was traumatic for you.
Yes.
So I'm letting you know that in breath work, I have gone back actually to the womb more than once and
Mm,
fully felt like I could tell that story like it was last night's sitcom with zero emotional attachment.
yeah.
What's interesting is when I was at the retreat that really changed my life, that introduced me to conscious breath work, and we did lots of somatic experiences to thaw our hearts, come into our bodies, come out of our heads. They said one day, we're going to do a radical departure tomorrow. It's something very different. I had no idea what it was. I didn't know when in the day it would happen. I'm sitting there and my heart starts pounding,
Mm,
pounding out of my chest because our bodies know. Our bodies are so much wiser than our egoic brains. It was a rebirthing experience.
mm.
Using conscious breath work kind of does these journeys where you feel like you're underwater, very similar to psychedelics, that you can get visuals, auditory downloads, very palpable sensate experiences. So I'm in the experience, they're guiding me through it. I can feel the tears coming down my cheeks, but I'm underwater and I'm looking at the experience through the eyes of love. That's the beauty of breath work. You look at it from the witness, but you fully feel for the first time often what you were too afraid, too overwhelmed to feel at the time. But there's a detachment. You're fully feeling it looking through the eyes of love. So that it's a very safe container to go in and change those energies. I'm in the experience hearing howling that sounds like an animal with its hand caught in a trap. And I come up enough to say to myself, boy, somebody's really having a hard time with this. I came up a little further and realized it was me.
Mm.
That is the depth of the stuck, stagnant energy that I had carried around for, I was in my 50s when I had that
Yeah.
experience. Dis-ease in our body creates disease. Our bodies will faithfully carry it. And like you said, Jenna, that a lot of people are like, oh, I don't have those experiences. I didn't have trauma. Your body will faithfully carry it, but at a cost. It's going to
Yep.
come out as disease. So there is a real liberation and a freedom to going back in. And the beauty of breath work is we go in at our ego's pace of readiness. Our soul works with our ego. So usually the beginning trips are all, when you leave your body, when your energy body leaves your body, it magnetizes to this greater collective energy that runs through everything in this realm. That is God. That's the intelligent energy of God. It magnetizes, and we're in wholeness. When we are fully connected and fully whole, and it's so cosmic, we feel bliss and we call it love. But what it really is that wholeness, that remembrance of us all as unique manifestations of the one before the Big Bang.
Mm.
That's what we're all looking for. That's that emptiness in our heart that gets filled when we remember ourselves as part of this whole and we feel it. When we're in those bliss states, all these physiological things happen in our bodies that create an upgrade of to our well-being. I could go into that. The point is, cosmically, or through these breathwork journeys, we'll have these cosmic trips first. Love wants to woo us, wants us to feel safe. At our ego's pace of readiness, our soul will take us into these descent trips when
Mm.
we're ready. And it's a beautiful way where we feel safe, where we don't feel overwhelmed, and then we can work with these energies and transmute them. They're never going to leave, but when the energetic charge shifts, I see it all the time. The coin we wrapped around the story shifts. So, for instance, in my birth trauma, for years I thought, man, I was so close. I could have just died. I could have said, beam me up, give me better circumstances. That makes me a victim.
Mm.
The coin flipped. And what I learned is people, fetuses, baby fetuses who are in toxic wombs, there's three types. If a mother has a mental illness, if a mother has a drug addiction or alcohol addiction, and if a mother has a severe hormonal imbalance,
Mm.
it becomes a toxic womb. Well, those soft spots in our head, while they help us get through the birth canal, they stay open for 2 years. And it's an act of mercy because the soul has the ability to transfer realms. You see babies looking around all the time because they see the energy realm.
Oh, I see my daughter. So she's 8 months now. She's looking around everywhere. And I'm like, oh, what do you see? Like angels? What kind of energy you seeing?
She's fully connected. She's pure essence.
Yep.
She's and what a great realization that you have that you are holding pure essence. Your total job is just to support and authenticate that pure essence. There's no shaping or molding. Just keep her safe and support that essence. I mean, what wisdom, Gena. I'm so happy you have it. So anyway, for these babies in these toxic wombs like me, we go back up more. And so
Mm.
what is very common is that we're either spiritually gifted or analytically gifted.
Mm.
I'm quite confident I don't have a lot of gifts, but I have both. I have both of those. And so learning that, the coin flipped for me that if that was the experience for me to always know that I am an energy being having a human experience, it was well worth it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. So, and that's exactly how these journeys work. The delusion gets flipped into a broadened view of what is really real.
Mm. Oh, man. It's like such a wild trip that, I think people have such a hard time actually like logically processing that. And that's why they kind of like put their head in the sand and they're like, I don't want to look at this. But you can only do that for so long, to be honest.
Yes, and you know what's really cool? there's a Jewish saying, an old Hebrew saying, what's truer than truth?
Mm.
It's experience.
Mm-hmm.
You hear it all the time for people with psychedelic journeys, breathwork journeys. They're very, very similar, and they do similar things in the brain. When you have had that experience and it is so real and it's so sensate, it's in every cell of your body, it becomes unrefutable. So
Mm.
yeah, when you haven't had the experience, people are often like, that sounds great. I don't really know what you're talking about. Because you haven't experienced it. But I'm here to tell you that that is all available and so much more if you're willing to do the work and surrender and try it. Surrender is key. You know, our egos get very afraid. Surrender? I don't want to surrender. I've been driving this bus for so long. But maybe I should spend a moment talking to your audience about what the ego really is.
Yeah, I think we should. That's a great topic because I've been getting a lot of questions on like how to know the difference between, your intuition and your soulful self versus your ego mind. Let's
Yeah.
definitely let's go into that.
So our egos are a conglomeration of all those wounded children that took all the pains for us when we were young. We needed our caregivers to survive and we were overwhelmed. So whatever our caregivers or anyone in our environment rejected, we rejected in order to stay aligned with our caregivers to get the care we needed.
Mm,
That was good at the time. It was good coping. Those egoic, those wounded children become our ego, and they protected our true nature. Our true nature is fully intact, fully whole. They protected our true nature, but they don't know the true nature. And so they come up to drive our experience. And they have good intentions. They want to protect us, but they're very immature. So their coping always comes with a cost. And those costs are usually to make our world smaller, 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 smaller to keep us safe. But in that very small world, our hearts get hard. Life becomes like eating ice cream and tasting frozen peas, right? And we cut off relationships, and so we're very alone in our ivory tower. There's a loneliness epidemic going on.
yeah.
And what happens is their coping is it's very pushed into the subconscious. So when we're experiencing negative outcomes that we didn't want over and over, that's a telltale sign that your ego's driving the bus. And then when you can always know when your ego is leading, when you're in your conscious breath, you're taking conscious breaths, and you're tuned into like a just a diatribe of judgments, critical thinking. It's mental chatter. That's all the ego. That is not the soul at all. We know when we're in the soul, when there's a lightness of being, there's a pervasive peace, there's a causeless joy. It doesn't matter what's going on out here. There's a harmony and joy, and it's very still and quiet. And you're in that moment, there is no self at all. There's no self here. There's no self there. There's no Gena. There's no Colleen. There's just this experience of connection. So there's that third thing, and that's where the term essence merging comes from.
Mm,
When you have dropped that sense of self and you merge with the experience, it's slowed down, time bends, and it becomes sacred and precious. It's the mundane, emptying the dishwasher can become a conversation with God. Every moment becomes more precious. That's when you know you're in your true nature.
mm. And I would also say the way to kind of get there is by utilizing tools like conscious breath work, which I love breath work. I love doing like active meditations. I love doing walking meditations. And I've had some pretty intense breath work experiences. And I will say this, you have to make sure you have like the space held by like a professional who is trained in this, because this is not like, oh, breathe in for 2, exhale for 6. This is like a deep conscious breath work that will unravel you that you just couldn't even imagine. Can we actually get into kind of like how, like the difference in kind of, because there's so many terms for, like holotropic breath work and somatic breath work. Can we kind of dive into that?
Sure. So I say holotropic, whatever you want to say. That is a very fast-paced breath work.
Mm,
I personally can't do it. It makes me dizzy.
okay.
Pranayama is what I consider a 1-2 punch. It's a kind of a short, fast breath in through the belly, a short, fast breath in through the chest. 1-2, 1-2. Also fast paced. I don't do very well with it. I'm being honest. Somatic breathing, the experiences I've had with somatic breath work use circular integrated breath work. That's what I do.
Mm,
And then they use that to tune in to the signals our body is screaming at us all day long. Hello, hear me. When you are still and quiet, they become really loud and you can have that conversation. But then when you stay with it, you can allow them the space to do what they want to do so it doesn't get to be stuck energy. And then the irony is, I've done circular breath work out in freezing cold rain. I had ice in my hair. My teeth were chattering, but when I was deep in breath, all the pain went away. I mean, that's a powerful gift of what happens in the brain. So, and I can talk about physiologically what is happening with the circular integrated breath work if you like.
yeah, let's get into that.
So, the technique is you are actually using energy. You're sucking that breath in from the base of your spine, squeezing your spine as you suck it in, up to the pineal gland.
Mm,
Now, most of us are shallow breathers. We only use about half of our lungs. So we think we're at the top of our breath, and there's more that we could take in. It is a full breath. You cannot take in one more sip of air. There's no gap between the inhale and the exhale, and then you don't force it out because you can get tetany. It's very painful. It's a cramping up of your nervous system. So
mm.
this is where the surrender comes in. You just let it fall out. And that exhale is going to be even longer than the inhale. Well, when you're doing that technique, there's crystals in our cerebral spinal fluid. Those crystals get compressed. They get compressed and they move up to the ventricles that are on either side of our pineal gland. They start to massage the pineal gland and it releases DMT.
Mm.
So, Gena, do you think all of your audience knows what DMT is?
We've definitely spoken about it, but let's get into that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is the active ingredient that makes mushrooms psychedelic or any plant medicine psychedelic. We think we've all been told that it's in these plants and they are enlightened beings, but it is not only outside of us, it lays dormant inside of us.
Mm.
So that slow breathwork pattern is going to activate our parasympathetic nervous system. Initially, it's going to put us in a delta brainwave pattern, which is slow and restorative. But when we get to where that DMT is released, we've gone to a gamma brainwave pattern that lights up our whole entire brain. On a PET scan, it's unbelievable. So it shuts down the default mode network that's on a functional MRI that maps perfectly onto Freud's construct of the ego.
Hmm.
Self-referencing, mind-numbing, looking for the shortcuts, sleepwalking through life. That all gets shut down. You're now fully in your midbrain, which is the seat of the soul. The brain on a PET scan is fully lit up. So instead of 9 well-grooved patterns of the default mode network talking to each other, it's full communication. This is where all those auditories and visuals are happening. When that DMT gets released, it comes into our cells. You're feeling the bliss. It's sending a message of well-being, and the interstitial fluid in your cells actually increases. With more fluid, you amplify at a higher frequency. So this is a perfect example of how the things we do in this material realm affect our subtle energy bodies. And then with that higher frequency, our subtle energy bodies affect how we show up in the material realm. And every one of our 70 trillion cells in our bodies is getting an upgrade. So I ask you, like, honestly, when you could start your day in bliss with a full bliss infusion, why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
Right.
I talk about this all the time with my clients. I'm like, you need to start your day mindfully. And you need to go inward. And you can, listen, it doesn't have to be a full hour. Just give yourself some time. Don't reach for the phone. Just go inward. Like, for me, it's like you were talking about the victimhood consciousness. And a lot of people don't even realize that they're living in that, which is fine. But if you want to change your life, you need to do things differently.
Exactly. Doing it
You
the
just
same
explained
gets the
it.
same result. Yeah,
Yeah. So cool. Like I always say, science and spirituality are two sides of the same coin.
absolutely. Everything in the material realm. This is such a beautiful delusion, right? It seems so solid, so real. The truth is every cell is made up of 99.999% space. Those
Mm,
nanoparticles whirl around a magnetic field. That magnetic field that's moving everything is God. That is God. It runs through everything. The desk is 99.999% space, every cell in this body. So it seems so real, but the energy world is far more real. It's far more real. And we know it. Babies, it's the first language that they learn. They don't know language. But they're pristine energy decoders. And so two practical examples that I think we can all relate to. You have great news. You want to come in and share it with your loved ones. You walk into the room, you read the energy, and you lead with what's wrong. You have an argument on the way to a party. You're all pissed off. You get to the party, the energy is really high, and all of a sudden, you feel great
yeah.
because energy is the truth. We when we're in our ego, we often get tripped up by words,
Hmm.
and put way too much weight in words. It is too often that people's words and actions do not line up. That is it.
Yes.
That's an act of aggression. It's passive aggression, but it's still aggression, and it is not love. When we fall for that over and over, we're overriding the energy signals because every time it happened, we got an energy message. This isn't trustworthy. Loving ourselves is tuning into those messages, honoring them, and standing in our truth. to say, I'm not doing that again. You can do you, but I'm not doing that dance again. Energy is everything.
It is everything. Oh man, we could talk about this for hours. Okay, so before we wrap up, let's talk about your book. What, you know, we spoke about this briefly about how you were like, I need to share this with the world. So like, what was that moment like where, just putting this book together, like explain the process and yeah, because I have so many authors. I'm an author. I love hearing about other people's processes of writing books, and I think it's very fascinating. So,
Mm. Well, thanks, Jenna. I had experience writing in scientific journals.
mhm.
So I learned about editing. That's great, but it's very different. I kept a journal for 5 years about my experiences. And when I got this call that I needed to inspire others, and it's interesting, the word inspire shares the same root word as inspiration.
Mm.
It all starts with conscious breath.
Yep.
And I knew that this book needed to be written through me. Like I didn't want my ego involved. So I was very careful to be in that higher true nature through breath work, meditation, microdosing, whatever it was, to allow the words to come through me. And I will say that, there is a lot of editing and writing. I've read this book umpteen times, but
Yeah.
every time I read it, I'm like, wow, that's real. I'm inspired. I'm inspired because it wasn't really me. And I'm just delighted to be called. That's the truth. It's like I got picked by love to do something like how great is that, right? But it is my spiritual memoir, but it's meant to, I use story to uh, teach the lessons of what it's like to transfer from the ego's control of our life. That's where I start. I was in my 50s, I was a psychologist, but I was still entrenched in my head.
Mm.
So it starts there. And what it's like to go through that stripping away of the ego, dealing with these somatic traumas that we've carried around, getting in touch with wholeness, um, all through these exhilarating breathwork dives. There's psychedelics in the book, meditation, and there's it's interwoven into a love story with my breathwork partner. So I've been in this vibrant marriage for 46 years. I call my husband the guru of love, and he totally deserves that
Aw.
nickname. He's pretty amazing. And yet, um, had never heard of the term twin flame. I had a breathwork vision of two horses running through time and space with tails and manes of fire. And they would outpace each other. And then we turned into me and my breathwork partner, and we would bump up against each other and come apart, all through time and space. And 3 days later, a friend said, I think your breathwork partner is your twin flame. I'm like, what's that? And that's how spirit works, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, what's that? Well, I go and look at the list, and the ones based in sharing a spiritual work together really resonated. Like time bends, a sense of feeling at home, oneness, always knowing we were connected, like on and on. And so when the opportunity came up, I started saying to Spirit, well, I have to share this with my husband. Like, I can't keep this to myself. So I'll let you come up with the timing. Well, he goes, what are you going to this workshop on? Oh, twin flames. Oh, what's that? Gulp. And I choose to say that's excitement and not fear. Like it's
Yeah.
easy if it's fear, I'm gonna have some kind of resistance. Oh, I'm excited. So I tell him, my sweet man goes, is it me? I go, oh, that life were so easy. Now, Jenna, I have lots of male and female friends.
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, it's Finn, isn't it?" I said, "Yeah, this is what my sweet man said." He goes, "Colleen, your heart's too big for just one person. I'm so grateful to have my spot in your heart. And I'm grateful that Finn can hold your heart in a way that I know that I emotionally can't do."
Oh,
Oh my God, right?
that's so sweet.
I mean, so sweet. So this book really delves into love in all of its forms. I mean, this is an honorable but very intimate relationship with my breathwork partner. When you're gazing into somebody's eyes, that's the
That's
first, it's
that's
the
like
first,
next level.
it's the first step of Tantra.
Yep.
And when you don't act on those energies, it's shooting that Kundalini up the spine and you're getting upgrade after upgrade. And there are several levels to Tantra, and we dance at the cliff's edge of love, but we're honorable all the time and always following the leadings of our breath. And so, and love begets love. I think that's what we don't realize. That the more love we have, the more we can spill it out everywhere. There's no limit on that. It multiplies. It is unrealistic to ask one person to fulfill every need, every desire, and be a practice partner for every hook in you that's out of alignment with love.
Mm.
And I'm grateful that my husband is safe and secure enough to realize that, because the love multiplies and we all benefit from it. So that love story is interwoven in what you can expect in this journey.
So interesting. Oh my goodness, amazing. Would it be considered more of a spiritual fiction or
Oh, it all happened. Now, I say in the preface, I changed the names of the living people. I changed a lot of the locations to protect people, but every action, every interaction, every word, all true.
okay, okay.
Everything happened as I wrote it. There's no embellishment.
Beautiful, beautiful. Amazing. Well, and is the book released yet? Because I know it was coming out in April, right?
April 30th, you can pre-order it now.
Amazing. Yes, tell people where people can get your book and where they can find you.
Yeah, and Jenna, if you like, I can send you a link. I also offer on my website 9 simple steps to awakening. That's free. I can
Beautiful.
and a lot of people that I've talked about breath work with, I have a video of the steps of how to do integrated breath work on YouTube. I can send a link for that as well if you
Yes, I'll put it in the show notes.
sounds like a plan.
Beautiful. Well, this has been such a fantastic conversation, and I mean, we just let it go where it needed to go. So I'm grateful for that, and thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, your experience. I know that this will absolutely resonate with the listeners, and we will be in touch. Guys, if you like this episode, like, share, subscribe, and share it with a friend. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.